What would you do if the people you trusted most betrayed you in the worst way possible? What if the very foundation of your family, your love, your loyalty was built on a devastating lie? The Wakefield family seemed picture perfect. Adam Wakefield, a decorated Air Force pilot, was respected for his discipline and patriotism. His wife, Emily, was the heart of their home, a loving mother who brought warmth and laughter into their lives. Together, they raised their 5-year-old son, Caleb, in a serene countryside home that many envied. But beneath their perfect exterior lay a terrible secret. Caleb wasn't Adam's son. He was the result of an affair between Emily and Adam's younger brother, Ryan. This betrayal would ignite a chain of events leading to a tragic plane crash, orchestrated by Adam himself. Stay with us to uncover how secrets, heartbreak, and revenge tore apart the Wakefield family, leaving a haunting legacy behind. Adam Wakefield, 34, was the embodiment of discipline and responsibility. As a seasoned Air Force pilot, he had dedicated his life to service, navigating high-pressure missions with unwavering focus. At home, Adam was equally steadfast, a devoted husband to his wife Emily, and a doting father to their son Caleb. Their home, surrounded by rolling hills and open fields, was the quintessential picture of a loving family. Emily, 32, had given up her nursing career to become a full-time homemaker. Her warm smile and nurturing presence were the glue that held the family together. She was well liked in their small community, known for her volunteer work and commitment to her family. Caleb, their bright-eyed son, was the joy of their lives, a curious and cheerful child who brought light into their home. Ryan Wakefield, Adam's younger brother, was a frequent visitor to their household. At 29, Ryan was the opposite of Adam, in many ways charming but impulsive, with a knack for finding trouble. Despite his flaws, Ryan's charismatic personality made him hard to dislike. To Caleb, Ryan was the fun uncle who brought excitement to their otherwise structured life. Adam, trusting and loyal, welcomed Ryan into their family dynamic without suspicion. To their neighbors and friends, the Wakefields appeared flawless. They were the kind of family that graced holiday cards, exuding happiness and unity. But hidden beneath this perfect facade were cracks that would eventually shatter their lives. The first sign of trouble came one chilly morning in March 2007. Adam was cleaning out an old storage box in the attic when he stumbled upon a photo album. Flipping through its pages, he saw candid pictures of Emily and Ryan, taken years earlier while Adam was deployed overseas. The images seemed innocent at first glance, smiles, shared laughs, casual moments. But something about their body language nagged at Adam. The closeness between them felt unsettling. At first, Adam dismissed his unease as overthinking, chalking it up to the stress of his demanding job. But the feeling lingered, gnawing at the edges of his mind. Weeks later, while tidying Caleb's room, Adam found something that deepened his suspicion: an old hospital bracelet. The dates inscribed on it didn't match his memory of Caleb's birth. Unable to ignore the growing doubts, Adam decided to request a DNA test under the guise of a medical necessity. When the results came back, they confirmed his worst nightmare. Caleb was not his biological son. The revelation hit Adam like a thunderbolt. The life he thought he had, the family he cherished, was built on lies. But the betrayal didn't end there. It wasn't a stranger who had fathered Caleb. It was Ryan, his own brother. For Adam, the weight of the deception was unbearable. His grief quickly gave way to anger, and with it came a cold, calculated need for revenge. Adam's disciplined nature, the very trait that had made him a celebrated pilot, now became the foundation for his growing obsession. He replayed every moment from the past 6 years in his mind, scrutinizing every interaction between Emily and Ryan. How had he missed the signs? The times Ryan seemed overly attentive to Emily, the shared glances, and the peculiar moments of closeness, they all now screamed betrayal. More than the affair, it was the years of deception that gnawed at Adam's soul. Emily had not only been unfaithful, but had built an entire life on a lie, all while Ryan had lived under the same roof during holidays and family gatherings, playing the role of the fun uncle. The very sight of Caleb, his bright eyes and infectious laugh, now brought Adam a mix of love and anguish. The boy had no fault in this, yet he was a constant reminder of the ultimate betrayal. For weeks, Adam lived a double life. To the outside world he was the same reliable man, steadfast in his duties as a pilot and loving to his family. Inside, however, he was unraveling. Every night after Emily and Caleb went to bed, Adam sat in the darkened living room, staring at the DNA report. His mind raced with questions. How long had this been going on? Did they ever feel guilty? And most hauntingly, what should he do now? As days turned into weeks, Adam's anger evolved into a dangerous determination. Forgiveness was not an option. The betrayal was too deep. He couldn't confront Emily and Ryan outright. It would only lead to denials, excuses, or pleas for understanding. No, Adam wanted them to feel the depth of his pain. They had stolen his trust, his family, and his identity as a father. He decided to take from them what they valued most: their lives. The first step in Adam's plan was to maintain a facade of normalcy. He couldn't afford to raise suspicion, so he buried his emotions deep, becoming even more affectionate toward Emily and Caleb. To Ryan, he was the same older brother, supportive and welcoming. Adam went out of his way to suggest more family time, subtly weaving the groundwork for his ultimate plan. One evening, while having dinner, Adam casually mentioned an idea: a scenic family flight. He proposed renting a small plane for a day trip, citing how much he wanted Caleb to experience the joy of flying. Emily, eager to bond, was immediately on board. To make the suggestion seem even more innocent, Adam invited Ryan to join them. "It'll be fun," Adam said with a smile that masked his darker intentions. Caleb would love having his uncle along. Ryan hesitated at first, but Adam's insistence won him over. Adam's plan was falling into place, but his methodical mind left no room for error. Over the next few weeks he meticulously prepared. He rented a single-engine plane under the pretense of a recreational flight. He studied flight paths, weather conditions, and emergency protocols, choosing a route that would take them over a remote mountain range. Every detail was calculated to ensure there would be no survivors, and that the crash would be written off as an accident. On the morning of May 19, 2007, the Wakefields arrived at the small private airstrip just outside Spokane, Washington. The day was perfect, clear skies and a light breeze, the kind of weather that made flying feel like a dream. Emily wore a casual summer dress, her excitement evident as she helped Caleb into the plane. Ryan arrived a few minutes later, his usual carefree demeanor masking any inkling of what was to come. Adam greeted them warmly, his calm and collected exterior belying the storm raging within. As the family boarded the sleek Cessna 172, Caleb's eyes lit up with wonder. He climbed into the seat behind the cockpit, bouncing with excitement as he marveled at the buttons and levers. Emily settled next to him, snapping pictures on her phone. Ryan took the co-pilot seat, casually chatting with Adam about the flight plan. Adam's pre-flight preparations were as precise as ever, a testament to his years of experience. He checked the fuel levels, calibrated the instruments, and reviewed the route one final time. His every move was deliberate, his mind laser-focused on what was about to unfold. As the plane taxied down the runway, Adam glanced at his family one last time. Caleb's laughter filled the cabin, Emily leaned back with a relaxed smile, and Ryan adjusted his seatbelt. At 9:47 a.m., the plane lifted off, climbing smoothly into the blue sky. Below, the sprawling forests and winding rivers of Washington state stretched out like a postcard. Caleb pressed his face to the window, pointing at the landscape with childlike wonder. Emily leaned over to join him, her laughter ringing out as she explained what he was seeing. Even Ryan seemed captivated by the view, his usual cocky demeanor replaced by genuine appreciation for the moment. But Adam was focused on the controls. His hands gripped the yoke tightly, his knuckles white as he navigated the plane toward the mountains in the distance. Every minute that passed brought him closer to the moment he had envisioned for weeks. The roar of the engine, the hum of the instruments, everything felt amplified, a relentless reminder of what was about to happen. When the plane leveled off at cruising altitude, Adam turned to Ryan, his voice calm but tinged with an edge. "We need to talk," he said, breaking the jovial mood in the cabin. Ryan looked over, his brow furrowing in confusion. Emily glanced up, sensing the shift in tone. Caleb, oblivious to the tension, continued to stare out the window. The hum of the plane's engine filled the silence that followed Adam's words. Ryan shifted uneasily in his seat, his carefree demeanor evaporating as he noticed Adam's intense stare. Emily's smile faltered, and she turned to her husband, sensing something was wrong. "What's going on, Adam?" she asked, her voice edged with nervous curiosity. Adam tightened his grip on the controls, his voice steady but icy. "I've spent weeks trying to understand how I missed what was happening right under my nose." Emily's confusion deepened, her eyes darting to Ryan, then back to Adam. Ryan forced a chuckle, attempting to diffuse the tension. "What are you talking about, man?" Adam didn't flinch. He reached into his flight jacket and pulled out a folded piece of paper. With a deliberate motion, he handed it to Ryan. "This," Adam said, "is what I'm talking about." Ryan unfolded the paper with trembling hands. His face turned ashen as he read the DNA test results. Emily gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. "Adam, I can explain," she began, her voice breaking. "No," Adam cut her off sharply, his tone cold and final. "You don't get to explain. You had years to tell me the truth, Emily. Years. And you, Ryan." He turned to his brother, his expression a mix of fury and disgust. "You were supposed to be my brother, my family. How could you do this to me?" Ryan opened his mouth to respond, but no words came out. The weight of the evidence and Adam's anger left him paralyzed. Emily, tears streaming down her face, reached out toward Adam. "Please, Adam, Caleb doesn't know. He's innocent in all of this. We can work through this, please, for his sake." Adam laughed bitterly, a sound devoid of warmth. "For his sake? You think I'm doing this for Caleb? The boy I thought was my son? The boy who carries his blood?" Adam gestured toward Ryan, his voice rising with each word. "No, this isn't for Caleb. This is for me, for everything you two have stolen from me." Caleb, sensing the tension but too young to understand its cause, clung to Emily's arm. "Mommy, why is Daddy yelling?" he asked, his small voice quivering. Emily hugged him tightly, whispering reassurances she didn't believe. Ryan, finally finding his voice, tried to reason with Adam. "Look, I screwed up, okay? I made a mistake, but killing all of us? This isn't the answer, Adam." Adam's lips curled into a grim smile. "You think this is about finding an answer? This isn't a question, Ryan. This is justice." With that, Adam reached for the autopilot switch and disengaged it. The plane lurched slightly as he adjusted the controls, steering the aircraft toward the jagged peaks of a distant mountain range. Emily screamed, clutching Caleb tighter. Ryan lunged for the controls, but Adam anticipated the move. With a swift elbow, he shoved Ryan back into his seat. "You're not taking control," Adam said, his voice steady despite the chaos. "You had control of my family for years. Not anymore." The once calm atmosphere of the cabin erupted into chaos. Emily begged Adam to stop, her voice raw with desperation. "Adam, please, think about Caleb. He doesn't deserve this." Ryan, his survival instincts kicking in, made another attempt to wrest the controls from Adam. "You're out of your mind," he shouted, his hands gripping Adam's arm. "You're going to kill all of us." Adam shoved Ryan back again, his years of physical training giving him the upper hand. "You think I care about what happens to me?" he spat. "You two destroyed my life. Now you're going to understand what it feels like to lose everything." Caleb, frightened by the shouting and the sudden jolts of the plane, began to cry. "Daddy, please stop," he wailed, his small hands clutching Emily's dress. The sound of his son's voice brought a flicker of hesitation to Adam's eyes, but it vanished as quickly as it appeared. He was too far gone, his mind consumed by the need for retribution. Ryan made one last desperate attempt. "Adam, listen to me," he shouted, leaning forward despite Adam's resistance. "This isn't just about us. You're going to kill Caleb. He's innocent in all of this." Adam's hands trembled on the controls, his gaze locked on the looming mountain range ahead. "Innocent," he muttered, almost to himself. "He's not my son, he's yours." Emily's cries grew louder as she clung to Caleb, shielding him with her body as if it could protect him from the inevitable. "Adam, please, I'm begging you. I made a mistake, but Caleb doesn't deserve this. He loves you. You're the only father he's ever known." For a brief moment, Adam's grip on the controls loosened. The weight of Emily's words threatened to break through his rage, but the years of betrayal and pain quickly drowned out any flicker of doubt. "No," he said quietly, his voice devoid of emotion. "You made your choices. Now we all live with the consequences." With a grim finality, Adam pushed the yoke forward, sending the plane into a steep descent. The mountain loomed larger in the windshield, its jagged peaks waiting like the claws of some monstrous beast. Emily screamed, holding Caleb as tightly as she could. Ryan lunged for the controls one last time, his strength fueled by desperation. But Adam, his focus unwavering, held his ground. The final moments were a blur of chaos and sound: the shrill cries of the engine, the desperate pleas from Emily and Ryan, and the heart-wrenching sobs of a child too young to understand his fate. At 10:23 a.m., the Cessna 172 collided with the jagged mountainside in a fiery explosion. The impact obliterated the plane, scattering debris across the rocky terrain. The serene morning was shattered by the violent crash, a plume of black smoke rising into the clear blue sky as the Wakefield's tragic story reached its horrific climax. The remote location of the crash delayed the arrival of rescue teams. It wasn't until hours later that first responders reached the wreckage. What they found was devastating. The twisted remains of the plane were barely recognizable, and it was immediately clear that there were no survivors. Among the wreckage, investigators began piecing together the clues that would reveal the shocking truth behind the tragedy. The National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, launched an inquiry into the crash, initially focusing on possible mechanical failure. However, as investigators combed through the wreckage, they began uncovering evidence that pointed to a far more sinister cause. Interviews with friends, neighbors, and colleagues painted a picture of a seemingly perfect family. Adam Wakefield was described as a dedicated and disciplined man, a skilled pilot with an impeccable record. Emily was remembered as a warm and loving mother, while Ryan was seen as the charming but slightly irresponsible younger brother. But as investigators dug deeper, cracks in the family's idyllic facade began to surface. The turning point in the investigation came when they retrieved Adam's personal effects from the crash site. Among the charred remains of his flight bag was a partially burned envelope containing the DNA test result. Although damaged, the report was legible enough to confirm the shocking revelation: Caleb Wakefield was not Adam's biological son. The investigators also recovered the plane's cockpit voice recorder (CVR), which revealed the final moments of the flight. The audio captured Adam's confrontation with Emily and Ryan, their desperate pleas, and the chaos leading up to the crash. The chilling recording left no doubt this was no accident. Adam had intentionally piloted the plane into the mountainside. As the details of the crash and the family's hidden turmoil emerged, the story gripped the nation. News outlets broadcast the heartbreaking details, turning the Wakefields into a tragic symbol of how betrayal and heartbreak can lead to unimaginable consequences. Emily's emails to Ryan, recovered from her personal laptop, revealed the depth of their affair. The messages chronicled years of guilt, secrecy, and attempts to justify their actions. Ryan's friends came forward with anecdotes that hinted at his complicated relationship with his older brother, stories of rivalry, jealousy, and an unspoken desire to step out of Adam's shadow. Caleb, the innocent child caught in the middle of this tragedy, became a poignant figure in the story. Neighbors recalled how much Adam adored him, never suspecting that the boy he cherished might not be his own. The revelation that Caleb was Ryan's son added a layer of complexity to the already heart-wrenching narrative. The NTSB's final report concluded that the crash was a deliberate act carried out by Adam Wakefield. The evidence was overwhelming. The flight path, the DNA test results, and the cockpit audio painted a clear picture of a man driven to the edge by betrayal. The public reaction to the tragedy was one of shock and sorrow. Friends and neighbors who once admired the Wakefields struggled to reconcile the image of a perfect family with the dark secrets that had led to their downfall. Candlelight vigils were held in their small community, with many mourning not just the loss of life, but the loss of trust and love that had defined the family. Psychologists and commentators weighed in on the case, analyzing how Adam's military background, his need for control, and his suppressed emotions may have contributed to his drastic actions. The tragedy became a haunting reminder of the destructive power of secrets and the lengths to which betrayal can drive someone. The Wakefield tragedy sent shockwaves far beyond the small community where the family had lived. It became a national story, dominating headlines and sparking debates on betrayal, mental health, and the devastating consequences of unresolved conflict. News outlets painted Adam as a man pushed to his breaking point, while others criticized his actions as unforgivable, even in the face of betrayal. In the Wakefield's hometown, a sense of disbelief and grief enveloped the community. Neighbors who had admired Adam, Emily, and Ryan struggled to reconcile their memories of the family with the revelations of their dark secret. Many described the Wakefields as friendly and approachable, a family that hosted barbecues in the summer and participated in local events. "I just can't believe it," said one neighbor during an interview. Adam was always so proud of Caleb. He'd talk about how he wanted to teach him how to fly someday. To think it ended like this, it's just heartbreaking. At Caleb's former preschool, teachers and parents organized a memorial in his honor. The event was somber, with candlelit vigils and heartfelt speeches about Caleb's bright smile and boundless curiosity. For many, the child's innocence made the tragedy even more unbearable. Emily's friends, unaware of the affair, were stunned. "She was such a devoted mother," one close friend shared. "I never would have imagined she was carrying such a heavy secret." None of this makes sense. Ryan's reputation took the hardest hit. As details of his affair with Emily came to light, his charm was overshadowed by anger and disgust from those who had once considered him likable. "Ryan always seemed a bit reckless," a former friend remarked. "But I never thought he'd betray his own brother like that. It's sickening." The Wakefield tragedy stands as a haunting reminder of how secrets and betrayal can destroy even the most seemingly perfect families. What began as a tale of love and loyalty unraveled into a devastating story of lies, heartbreak, and vengeance. Adam's actions, though shocking and unforgivable, were the culmination of years of suppressed pain and shattered trust. This story forces us to confront difficult questions. How far can betrayal push a person? Can secrets ever truly stay buried? And most importantly, how can we ensure that heartbreak and anger don't lead to irreversible decisions? The lives of Adam, Emily, Ryan, and Caleb serve as a tragic warning about the consequences of unresolved conflict. Their story, though painful, leaves us with a lesson about the fragility of trust and the devastating cost of deception. If you were moved by this story and want to hear more gripping tales of true crime, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to True Crime by Sophia. Let's continue exploring the stories that make us reflect on the choices we make and the lives we lead. Thank you for watching, and remember, truth, no matter how painful, is always better than the destruction caused by lies. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the next video.